to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Let's open a beverage of your choice. Because today I'm going to be reviewing Batman Caped Crusader, the whole season, all 10 episodes. I noticed that was on a couple days ago and kind of burned through it over the last couple days, and I just want to give my thoughts on everything. Let's start with what I thought was good about it. It's got the old costume back from the 40s, and I think that's pretty much when it's set, is, like early 40s, or it kind of seems to be, because they have the old timey, everything, and the old phone number type things. Yukon 523. And they sort of go back to the basics on it. It's all just really, kind of low tech. There's no computers. It's just Batman and his. He's got the grappling gun, and that's about it. And it's back to the basics. It's kind of detective type stories. He's still new. He's making mistakes. He's not prepared for everything like he is in a lot of the series. It's executive produced by Bruce Timm, co-created by Bruce Timm, who did the original Batman the Animated Series. It's got Ed Brubaker as an executive producer. And Ed Brubaker actually wrote a couple of the episodes. It seems a little bit more, excuse me, more mature in the sense that it's got a little bit darker subject matter in certain stories. There are certain things where, like, damn, that wouldn't have happened in the original series. And it's got individual episodes, with story in individual episodes, but it has an overall arc for all 10 episodes. The questionable things that could be were kind of could be good, could be bad, depending on how they do it, how they continue with it, is the certain members of they have certain characters they have a different look. They have Harley Quinn, or Dr. Quinzel. She looks nothing like she does in the comics. Dark hair. Things like that. The way she's drawn, she looks a little bit different. Montoya. She's kind of, I don't want to say chunky, but that's kind of the way she looks in this one. As opposed to the slender way she's drawn in the comics. In this one, she's a little bit more robust. when they do show Dr. Quinzel in her outfit, it looks nothing like uh, the expected costumes. And her motivations in this one are, you know, her origin in this one is has nothing to do with what it is in the comics. So I can see what they're, what they're trying to do with this. They're trying to, make this series a little different, give it an individual taste, not be exactly like the comics. I can see that, and I kind of liked what they did, but I kind of didn't like what they did. I'll have to see more of it as time goes on to make a decision on it. And what they did, like Barbara Gordon, they made some changes with her too. Sort of. I mean, from what I understand, originally, when she was first introduced, she was a law student trying to get her, trying to get a degree and pass the, become a lawyer and pass the bar. In this one, she is a public defender. So I think they may borrow heavily from, way back. So they're making certain stylistic changes to. Oh, and Alfred looks. He's fat. As opposed to the. I know originally when they first did Batman, they had a butler. He was kind of a fat guy, and he looks like him, but that wasn't Alfred. So I think what they're doing is they're taking that guy and then actually just calling him Alfred Pennyworth. I don't know. But they do have it correct with him actually calling Bruce Master Bruce instead of Master Wayne, which always bugged me about the live action ones. It's like, dude, he doesn't call Bruce Master Wayne. He never does. And there's a couple more little things, like something they did with Bullock. They kind of make him bad. And depending on which era you're in, Bullock is either good or bad. So that's indifferent. I sort of like what they're doing with him on this one. But speaking bad, let's go for the one major thing they did in here, or a couple major things that I thought were bad. Gender change. You may or may not have heard, they gender changed a major character in this series. Why do they keep doing that? Just take this character, use that character in the way that it was written. If you want to do something different with it, get a female character, make something new. I mean, they did it with Harlequin. Harlequin debuted in the Batman the Animated Series. That's where she came from, and she was so popular, and I think Montoya as well. She became so popular they retconned her into the comics. So it's been done and by Bruce Timm. If you want a powerful, a interesting, powerful female villain, create that villain and use her. Don't take an established character who's meant to be one thing and gender change. It's just, and that's becoming a huge trend now where they're just doing it with everybody. And it's not only are they doing it, it's getting tired because they're doing it with everybody now, and it's just old. And it's kind of a crutch. Excuse me. And I this should have actually been kind of in the indifferent section, I guess. But they also race swap a couple people, and again, it's. I don't know whether to keep it in the indifferent or bad, because race swapping people is also getting to be a serious problem in this. I mean, again, I don't understand. Okay, there might be a couple issues where they do it, but just they're doing it with everybody now. I mean, you had Jimmy Olsen, you had Batwoman in movies. It's just any redhead that that you have in comics is going to be changed. And they Gordon and Barbara are changed in this one. They have become African American. And a friend of mine pointed out that that this time it could be what they could be trying to do with this one is he's a black man in the 40s who is trying to fight police corruption in his department. And I guess to make the character a little bit more interesting, he also has to try and fight another type of, issue that would happen, back in the day. But I really didn't see that thrown into it. There was no one who was giving him a hard time because of his color. It was just because, Jim Gordon is an honest cop, and that was the major focus on it. And if that's just going to be major focus, why change the character from what his intended was? And also, another, in my opinion, bad thing is one of the producers is J.J. Abrams. I do not see why people keep bringing him on to projects. He came out on the scene with Alias. I remember watching the first little bit of it. It was pretty interesting, but I just lost interest. But then he did Lost. Started out strong, and we all know how that turned out. You get the Star Trek reboots, which turned into a giant clusterfuck. And then look what he did with the Star Wars trilogy. And don't even get me started on that. So I really don't see why he's trusted with series, because he'll just take things and instead of making them, keeping them just as good or making them better, he will screw them up. And I'm hoping that the Bruce Timm and Ed Brubaker component will counteract that or keep it from happening altogether. But I don't know. I mean, it depends on how much leeway they give him, and I do not like having him on there, but I had no say. So those are the my good, indifferent, and bad. So overall, after watching the show, I don't. Notice I really haven't got into a lot of specifics. I don't want to give any more specifics than I have because I don't want to give any spoilers. But the first episode, I was like, this is going to be pretty good. Uh, you know, and as I worked my way through it, it got good. I mean, is it going to be as good as Batman the Animated Series? Probably not. It can get close if they continue improving on it. It's definitely better than the sequel one they did with that was all kind of that one with where it was all weird, but it's pretty good and shows a chance of improving. It improved from the first to the 10th. It still has some issues to work out. Still has a couple of missteps here and there. The voice acting is really good. Hamish something or other as Batman Bruce Wayne. Diedrich Bader plays I think he plays Harvey Dent, who also they changed a little bit. And so they've got some talented voice actors. The writing is quite good, especially when Brubaker writes the episodes. Animation, yeah, I mean, it's there's a couple times it looks sort of like Saturday morning cartoonish, but for the most part, it was, wasn't distracting. It was, flowed pretty well. So overall, I'm going to give it maybe a B minus at the moment. I know this is a little different than my normal rating system, but I'm going to recommend and say, yes, watch it. It's enjoyable. It was worth the time, especially if you're a Batman fan. It's not going to be Batman the Animated Series good, but again, I don't think they're trying to exactly duplicate that. This could be a spiritual prequel to the series. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a B minus, and it's on Prime, so flip it on, watch it, and enjoy. I think you'll kind of like it. But anyway, let me know what you thought of it. Like, subscribe, most of all, enjoy your comics.